Oh, it's another super day here, and I think we're gonna work on the 36 Chevy today. To start out, I want to get the exhaust finished up on this truck because it is way too obnoxiously loud. You can see I just kind of terminated it there so I could get the truck on the road. But we need to make it come out here, snake over the rear axle, and then I want it coming out the back somewhere. So it's got to kind of come underneath the gas tank and do some weird things. Alright, I got my crappy cobbled together exhaust all welded up. So we're gonna shove it back in the truck now. Well, it's a stupid looking exhaust, but I just got back from taking this thing for a long drive, and it didn't bottom out once on the axle there or anywhere else. So that's a good sign. I hit all my usual favorite spots, the railroad tracks and lumps and bumps here and there, and went through the city, and it seems to be fine in that regard. I had to put a little bit of a goofy noodly do there to clear the brake hose. If I was gonna, I kind of shot myself in the foot. I should have cut that bracket off and relocated the brake hose before I built the brake lines, and then I could have just gone straight up and over and it would have been a lot easier, but we didn't do that, so we made the best with what we got. And luckily the next step is to get the bed floor in here, and then all of this will be covered, and you won't really be able to see it except for this part here. I might eventually come in here and kind of angle this tip a little bit here, kind of grind it and shape it so it's not just straight. I don't like, exhaust tips, so I don't want to put anything on there. And quite frankly, I don't really care either. I'll probably just never do anything with this again. I'm glad I didn't extend these out any further though, because in all of our testing and going over bumps and things, both sets of tailgate chains managed to pop out, and the tailgate fell off. Well, not off, but it fell down and slammed into the bottom of the bed here and put a big dent here. Well, not a big dent, but it just folded that in and folded this in here, and pretty easy to fix that. So we got really lucky there because no damage ended up in the middle. Otherwise we would have had two dents right here and probably messed up the exhaust somehow. So managed to avoid that. I don't even know how these popped out because I went over all kinds of bumps and things like that. Didn't do anything. Then I went to the store, parked it there, came back out, everything was fine. Got in, drove away, and left the parking lot, and all of a sudden the tailgate is slamming down. So, a bit weird unless somebody is playing a practical amusement on me and took these out. I might have to tighten these up somehow or put another bend in them, or just bolt the tailgate shut, because I don't really, I'm not really using this as a hardcore truck, so I can probably just bolt the tailgate shut and get rid of the chains completely, even though that means I won't be able to troll people with them anymore. But I don't want the tailgate falling down when this thing's got paint on it. But it was weird because my 49 Chevy had the same setup with the chains, and never had that happen once, and I put thousands of miles on that truck. And but I guess it's easy to see how these old truck tailgates got so beat up. Overall, though, it was actually a great day. The nice thing about having a YouTube channel is it allows me to build these vehicles for myself. But the downside is that once they're built, I never have any time to drive them. So it was nice to actually get out and put a couple miles on the old 36. Probably the last nice day of the year. And we got home, and our rabbit friend was waiting for us. While we're on the subject of the Omega Seville, my old boss James bought me some nice classy fuzzy dice for it. So let's go get these installed. And you long-term viewers of the channel, you'll remember that James also has very strong feelings about sound deadener that's upside down. So I just thought we'd take a moment to feature this here. One of these things is not like the other. Look at that, eh? They're going all different directions. What lunatic put this on? Oh no. Oh no. I'm not a fan of building exhaust. In fact, I don't like doing it at all. But this Vever exhaust pipe kit I bought really saved the day. It comes with all the bends and angles. Pretty cheap, and it worked out pretty good. And here's the next project. We got to get some wood in the bed of this truck. So what we're using is some pine that came from a 100-year-old Eaton's farmhouse package that never got built. It just sat disassembled in a barn forever. And then somehow the guy that I got this wood from, he ended up with it, and he had it trimmed down and grooved and planed and whatever for a 1966 Chevy Pickup. So you can see it's a little bit a little bit too long as it is right now, and it also doesn't quite fit to the little bump out here, so we have a little bit of modification to do. I also think the 36 trucks, they had 6 boards, but they were all equal width, and this one has 2 thinner boards, but you know who doesn't care? This guy. Before you take to the comment section and tell me that pine is a bad choice for a truck box floor, just keep in mind that this truck is not being used to haul manure or engine blocks or anything like that. I already have a truck that I use for that. This is just to fill the hole, and I may, haul a sheet of plywood with it once in a while or something like that, but it's not it's not being used for heavy duty truck use, so it'll be just fine. And this truck sits inside. It's not getting in the weather or anything like that, so this will be fine. And I figured it kind of suits the truck a little bit more than it would in a 66 Chevy, just because it's from a 100-year-old house package. I don't know how old this wood is. It's got to be even older than that. But we're going to use it in our 36 Chevy. I know everybody's screaming at the computer, probably telling me to buy a power saw, but I'm not a carpenter. I don't do woodwork very often. Actually, my uncle bought me this saw for Christmas when I was like 8 years old, and it's sawing many a thing, and it's still sharp, still works, and really it's the only tool I need. It's not like I have any big carpentry projects coming up. You guys got to cut me some slack here. At least I'm using a wood saw to cut this. I'm not using like an angle grinder or something, like a real butcher. I don't know who's in charge of the math department here, but they're fired. So there's these metal strips that fit in between the boards. So there's supposed to be a bit of a gap between the boards, and then the metal strips fit into the groove like so. And the problem that we have now is that with these skinny boards in the mix here, there's not enough room for these strips, or well, they'll go in, but they're not going to fit into the grooves. They're going to be like sitting on top of there, and that's not going to work. And these boards on the outer side of this, I don't know why I didn't realize this or think of this, but these boards have to go all the way basically right up against the edge here. They're not sitting in this channel like the rest of them. So because I didn't compensate for that, We now don't have the width or the math to make any of this work. So the only option we have now is to give up. Good news is that this wood was cut for a long bed fleet side, so I do have two of the thicker boards, so we can delete these two thinner ones and then run the thicker boards. Now we're not going to do any measuring or math this time. We're just going to start blindly cutting these down and hoping that everything works out. You can see the disaster that trying to do math and measuring got us into. I'm also done using fancy carpentry tools. You gotta stick to what you know, folks. Just want to give a quick shout out to Adam Fraser in Sydney. It was requested that I say hello, so hello, and thanks for watching the show, and I appreciate you buying a t-shirt and a sticker and making a donation to the channel, and hope you're enjoying whatever it is we're doing today. And while we're on the subject, thank you to anyone else who's bought a shirt or sticker or made a donation to the channel or just sat and watched these terrible videos. I appreciate all you very much. I was hoping to avoid this, but the board spacing is still too tight, and so what I have to do is I have to trim off 3/8 of an inch from the outer boards, which is actually technically correct anyways because they're not supposed to be grooved on the outside edge. Again, this is, you know, a kit from a long bed fleet side 66 C10, so these boards were all meant to be in the middle. That's why they were grooved. Something we knew about when we started this project, but we chose to conveniently ignore until it became a problem. And so that means we're gonna have to put my fancy woodworking tools to the test and trim off this thing edge here, and then we should be able to fit these boards in properly and everything will finally be happy, and then we can start putting the strips in. Oh goody. All right, well, now we finally actually have the proper spacing there for the bed strips to fit into. And all we had to do was just trim down the boards the way that they're supposed to be trimmed, and magically everything fit. So who would have thunk? Anyways, next step is to actually start fitting the strips in. So this one's obviously too short, but we do have all these scabby ones here from an 8-foot long bed. I think a 66 Chevy. So we'll start, that one's a little bent. We'll cut off the bad parts and now, before I go and get these strips in, there is one more cross member that has to go underneath the wood boards here. It goes somewhere in this area, I think, and it doesn't actually tie into the frame. It's just kind of a floating cross member. So I found this one in the backyard from an advanced design truck, and so we're going to adapt it to fit. And I seem to recall I had one in way better shape than this one, but I don't know where it is, so it's going to be probably faster to fix this one. You can see when we put a straight edge on it that it's got a really bad banana in it right through the middle, so we're going to do our best to kind of straighten that out before we install it. And that's probably close enough for what we're going for here. Well, we ran into our first major design flaw here. For anybody out there who's planning on converting their 36 Chevy truck to tube shocks using 1950 to 1954 Chevy truck shock brackets, and if you're also using a 1947 and 1954 Chevy bed cross member that's been chopped down and narrowed, you're going to run into this problem here where this cross member won't clear the shock mount. So we're just going to chop it out here and notch it out for clearance. Now, if you are going to be using your 36 Chevy for hauling manure or other heavy items, you probably want to reinforce that after you chop it out, but we're just going to chop it out and leave it as is because, like I said, this truck isn't really going to be getting used to haul too much, so it'll be just fine. decided not to make you watch me put these boards in for the 800th time. So we got the boards in, now we can finally start getting the metal divider strips in and start drilling holes to get those anchored down, and it's all coming together now. Here we got it all kind of bolted in. I spared you the agony of watching me drill all the holes. I ended up having to re-drill every single hole for the strips because they were in the wrong spot. So that took a few minutes. I also didn't put in all the bolts yet, as you can see, because obviously now I have to take it all back apart and put some coating on the wood, and also probably paint the box in the near future and paint all the cross rails underneath. I just wanted to get everything test fit in here so that I didn't have to do this when everything was painted and sealed and whatever. Pretty happy with that though. Can't really complain. I think it'll look pretty good when it's all coated up and finished up. I forgot to mention that originally these would have had the bed bolted down through the wood and through the cross members, but when I built the cross members for this box originally, I made them so that there's just a plate and then they bolt directly to the frame from the bottom, so there's no need to run bolts through here. So that's my super slick street rod streamlined trick there. I guess it is getting a little crackly and old. Better than most of the junk I drive. I took all my big YouTube money and I'm just gonna go ahead and replace it now. Throw the parts cannon at it. Been getting a lot of questions from you people about whether or not we're going to be painting the bed and the fenders on the 36 here. And the answer to that question is yes. Big shout out to Ideal Auto Paint Solutions in Saskatoon. They just mixed me up some paint for the fenders and the running boards and the box on the 36 here. And they gave me an awesome deal on it. And so if you guys are in Saskatoon and or the Saskatoon area and you need paint or body shop supplies, or if you just have oodles of cash burning a hole in your pocket and you need to give it to someone, make sure you head on over to Ideal Auto Paint Solutions and give them your business. They are awesome. And I'm not going to reveal what color we're painting them yet. So leave a comment in the mouth breather section there and let me know what color you think we're painting this. I don't know if we're painting it this year or we're going to wait until next spring when it's a little bit warmer. But there will be paint going on here at some point in the future. Okay, thanks for watching everyone, and we'll be back again soon with more disturbing and misleading content.